guys, welcome back to the channel. Today is a pretty exciting one. Kind of a bit of a break from what we normally do on here. As you could tell from the thumbnail, we're off to get an FJ60. Now, unfortunately, as much as I would love to keep all of them, one of them's got to go. So, no, it's not that one. I am in way too deep with that truck. Let me show you what my daily is, and this is what I'm selling in order to fund the new FJ60 project. Here she is, a 2005 100 series Landcruiser V8 gasoline model, as is the only one we got here in the United States. We never were lucky enough to get the diesel option. This truck, I've had this thing since, at least 5 years, and I've been everywhere with this thing. We've been to Colorado, we've been to local trails, I've used it as a family wagon to haul around. It's been brilliant. I've done a lot of upgrades on the vehicle since I've had it. ARB bumper, I had a super winch up front, got some Trail Tailor sliders. Coming round to the back of the truck, went with a Slee off-road rear bumper with a spare tire carrier. I did have a jerry can holder right there, but it's since gone. I built a rear drawer system for it, just a single drawer on this side, and I got a fridge that normally goes over here. Power outlets back here with a secondary battery with some USB outlets, drawer, and then storage in the tailgate. I mean, the thing, it's ready to go camping. It's been brilliant. Old Man Emu suspension. I got this Old Man Emu springs. I got the Ironman off-road shock, foam cell shocks. I mean, it's been a fantastic vehicle. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. But unfortunately, I can't own them all as much as I'd like to. It's time to take a step back in time to where my cruiser addiction started, and that is in an FJ60. This one's a little bit special, and I'll explain more as we go along the journey. I'm going to take you guys along with me. 12 years ago, I purchased a 1980, I think it was an 86, silver FJ60. Got it from South Carolina. I didn't really know what I had at the time. I mean, as far as my love for Landcruisers, that kind of came a bit later on, but this was it had 33-inch tires, it had a 3B 4-cylinder diesel engine, which I turboed. Really enjoyed the vehicle, and it just went from there. After that, I got an 80 series, and then I put a diesel in that, and then I went and got a Tacoma, and then I went and got this 100 series, and so it's been this evolution, and I found myself going all the way full circle, and we're going back into an FJ60. And I'll take you guys along with me, and we'll bring this thing back here to Tennessee. So stick with me in this video. It's going to be a fun one, a little bit unusual, and I'm excited to bring you along. There she goes. Been on the road now for about 2.5 hours, 160 miles in to my 400-mile journey back to Nashville. The truck's running great. So far, what can I say? Things been pulling like a freight train. I'll explain more when we get back to Nashville, what's been done to the engine. But as of right now, you guys don't even know what engine's in this. I haven't spilled the beans yet. You know, I did post on social media a picture of the truck, and I asked the question, any guesses what engine's in it? I got everything from LS3 to Vortec to 3B to, just diesel. Well, the diesel part was right, and this thing is rocking a 12 HT with a 5-speed manual, and it is fully rebuilt. Let me give you a listen what she sounds like. I'm having a ball. This thing, like I said, I'll explain more what's been done to the engine. It's definitely not stock. So I'm gonna find some fuel, about half a tank. I'm really interested to see what kind of fuel economy I'm getting. I have no idea. Anyway, I'll just keep on trucking on. I've been trying to get some good footage for you guys, but it's been pouring with rain, so this is really the only chance I've had to pull over and get some good shots and let you know what's been going on. So anyway, I guess we'll just keep on going. is. 1986 FJ60, back from the little road trip, 400 miles, not one hiccup, 22 miles to gallon, so unbelievable. Well, anyway, here she is. Wow, where shall I start? The paint here has had a respray at some point, but the paint's pretty darn good, really. 4+ front bumper, 4+ sliders. These are welded on. I think this is one of the early generation bumpers and sliders. We've got a set of 15-inch method wheels on 33-inch rubber. We're on the Safari snorkel, and it's all plumbed in nicely. A 4+ rear bumper with dual swing outs, dual jerry can holder, and of course a spare tire carrier. Underneath, I don't know if you can see it, we're running Old Man Emu suspension, extended shackles in the front and in the back. Speaking of suspension, it does have a shackle reversal up front, and I gotta say, I've never driven a vehicle with a shackle reversal before, and it is way more comfortable than my first 3B FJ60 I had like 12-13 years ago. So I'm actually really impressed with the ride. It's got the FJ62 side mirrors. These headlights, they are going away, don't worry. Just some cheap eBay specials. Pretty clean truck, there's no rust. Everything is nice and solid. All the quarter panels are nice and solid, no issues at all. Frame is in good shape. There's a few spots, we'll talk about that here in just a minute. Coming on the inside, it does not have the factory seats. These are Mastercraft Baja RS racing seats. Pretty comfortable. And then what they did was they reupholstered the rear to match. I'm fine with it. It does, being that it's the FJ60, it has no headrest. So what I'm probably going to do here is either switch this out for an FJ62 seat. I'm not sure yet, but at the very least, what I am going to do is I'm going to put in some shoulder belts there. I've only got the lap belts here. Rear cargo area. Yeah, I say pretty clean, pretty basic. The door cards are, or the side cards are, you know, broken. Headline is in good shape. LED interior light there. Headline is all in good shape, a little dirty, but in pretty good shape. Nothing's sagging, nothing's falling down. All right, coming up to the front office here. Now, the main reason I bought this truck and what really caught my eye was the fact that, as you know, it's rocking a 12 HT factory turbo diesel engine. Now, this is just not any turbo diesel engine. It has been played with, it has been tweaked, but most importantly, it has been rebuilt from the ground up. I'll show you more on that here in just a minute. Paired with a new H55 5-speed transmission. This thing, I love it. It's fantastic, and it makes all the right noises too. Here, let me fire it up for you, and so you can see just how she just purrs. Look at that, half a turn of the key. It's got no glow screen in it, so you know, I haven't driven it in a while. I see the temperature gauge is full cold there. So we have boost gauge, pre-turbo, post-turbo EGT gauges, and then the water temperature up here. Man, it just sings. Let me give you the exhaust note out here. Listen to that. I mean, come on. I'll let it warm up in here a bit for you, and I'll do a couple of throttle twisties. So there you have it. We pop the hood here. You can see. Man, listen to that. Listen to that diesel just purr. Wow. Love it. Absolutely love it. And she doesn't really smoke either. It burns pretty clean. The only smoke you see is on startup, which is where you should see it. In fact, let's do this. Let's turn it off. And then we'll just start it back up again. That's it. Other than that, there's no smoke. But a little history on this truck real quick. So it's a California vehicle, at least as far back as I can see. It started its life in California with the typical, I believe it was the 3FE engine. From there, a company in California called Manfrey did the swap with the diesel engine in it. However, the general consensus is that the engine actually came out of a coaster bus. Now, these engines were available in coaster buses as well as HJ60s and one overseas. But the reason we seem to think it came from a coaster bus is because it had all the wrong pulleys on it. But they had mismatched the pulleys and the belts. Anyway, it caused some premature wear. The belts broke on the highway and caused the coolant to skyrocket and blew a head gasket. So the owner at the time decided, the last owner, decided, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and do a full rebuild. Well, as you know, with all these projects, it's a rabbit hole. Every bolt, every gasket, every part that could be Toyota and could be replaced was replaced. Whatever he couldn't find from Toyota, he used the best aftermarket parts. Put in Alphen pistons, which came from Engines Australia. He put on a custom MLS head gasket, so a thicker head gasket. Originally, the plan for this, he was gonna build this up for performance with water methanol injection and all kinds of good stuff like that, but didn't go that route in the end. But all the internals have been upgraded. All right, so while I was filming this, the previous owner actually texted me. I had a few questions for him regarding the rebuild, and I had thought that he had said it had 16,000 miles on it since the rebuild was done, but actually it's 6,000 miles. I mean, so how good is that? 6,000 miles on a freshly built 12 HT that is capable of 500,000. He literally rebuilt the engine, drove about 500 miles around the West Coast before he did a cross-country trip and moved his family all the way across the other side of the country, which is about another 3,500 to 4,000 miles, and then he drove it around his new where his new home was for the last 6 months or so. So yeah, 6,000 miles on this engine. I mean, how good is that? The injection pump was removed and serviced. Get it to focus. There we go. It was removed and serviced. All the injectors were pulled out and serviced as well. New radiator here came from Superior Radiators in Michigan, and it basically is mirrored off of a Ron Davis radiator. Now, what you'll see here, which is really interesting, we have an electric fan instead of the typical engine-driven fan. And the reason he did that was, like I said earlier, he was originally planning to put water methanol injection and all kinds of goodies on this thing to really push the power. And that robs a bit of power by having a fan connected direct to the engine. So he went away from that and put electric fan in, changed the thermostat out, so really this doesn't get much warmer than 175, 180, and there's all your probes right there for inline for when the fans kick on and when the thermostat opens. It's running a Terrain Tamer heavy duty clutch, which came from Australia, which is brilliant. Now the typical turbo on this vehicle is a CT26, and the CT26 from the factory for the 12 HT pushed out about 7 pounds of boost. This is pushing out 18 pounds of boost through a G turbo, and this is a guy in Australia who makes these turbos, and you can see the turbo in action, me coming back on this road trip. But what we've got going on here on the gauges, we're at the bottom here, we've got the boost gauge, and as you can see, just cruising here, we've got about 8 to 10 pounds of boost. Now if I floor it, that turbo just spools right to 18. The middle gauge here, that is pre-turbo on the top number, and the bottom number is post-turbo. So this actually has 2 EGT gauges. As you can see, and this is in Fahrenheit by the way, not Celsius before you guys freak out. So 640 degree pre-turbo, 850 post-turbo. We're going up a slight incline at the moment. The speedometer is reading about 60. It's about 10 miles an hour off. I'm doing about 70 according to the GPS. Let's see here. So up a hill, we'll hit 880. Now I've hit 1,000. But as soon as I back off of it, I mean the numbers just fall right down. And I think a lot is in part to do with the Cerakote. these pistons have been Cerakoted. So the pistons themselves on this engine have been Cerakoted. Now, if you've watched my videos before, and if you haven't watched my videos before, feel free to jump on the channel after finishing this one and check it out, where I talk about Cerakote that I'm actually doing to another 12 HT I've got sitting in the garage right now. But there's a huge amount of benefits to Cerakote once it's applied correctly. For example, take this air clean, air box, the crossover pipes, the valve cover, all that is powder coated. Now if I was to take a brake parts cleaner right now and just douse the engine bay down, it would absolutely destroy that powder coat finish. However, Cerakote, which is this color you've got here, all this stuff is all Cerakoted. It resists chemicals. It's difficult to get off once it's put on, and if you apply the right Cerakote, it can be good up to, in some cases, 1800 to 2000 degrees, which is what the pistons are coated in on this vehicle. So why would you coat pistons? What would be the benefit? Well, basically, it can withstand extreme temperatures during the combustion cycle. It would prevent the cylinder from absorbing the combustion heat and getting heat soaked. So essentially what it's doing is it helps prevent the EGTs, if you're running high EGTs, from blowing a hole in the top of the pistons. Now, is it still possible? Of course it is. You know, it's not bulletproof, but it's just an added layer of protection. And basically, if you keep the pistons cool, it keeps the engine cooler, because of course the oil is absorbing less heat now from a cooler piston. So there are a lot of benefits to running Cerakote, your parts. Basically, it has to be applied correctly, but when it's applied correctly, I mean, there's no reason it shouldn't last a very, very long time. All right, well, anyway, that's about it on the truck. Thanks for joining me on this cool adventure. Truck is brilliant, but it's far from perfect. I'm not really looking for perfection, but there are some things that do need my attention. A few areas, we got some rust that's starting to come through on that new paintwork. The few nicks and scrapes and, you know, just a few tears, things that are just tatty that you'd expect from a 34-year-old vehicle. The back of the truck has a little bit of rust in the frame. It's all surface rust, the frame is solid, so I'm gonna take a wire wheel to that, probably do some POR 15 or some kind of rust prevention treatment, and just keep the truck, keep it going, basically. Yeah, I got some upgrades in mind. Pretty excited about that. I'll have that coming up real soon. But if you guys have got any suggestions or comments or anything you'd like to see on the vehicle, or see more of the vehicle, please leave your thoughts down below. If you like the video, give us a thumbs up, hit the share and subscribe button. Check us out on Instagram at Music City Cruisers, and we'll catch you next time.